So Kuro power crept leakers once again, just like they did with Cartethia, by releasing Augusta and Iuno's gameplay right after releasing their attributes and their weapon types. So in today's video, we'll be going over the official footage that was provided by Kuro Games and what we have in the game so far to help us speculate what kind of combat roles they might have in their kit design and their possible team building, to give you guys an idea what to expect when Augusta and Iuno drops in the upcoming version. Let's start with Augusta. From the official gameplay footage, you can see that before she even started doing damage, her hair was glowing with some kind of red lightning effects. This is actually pretty common with most characters in the game when their forte bar is full. Yang Yang's hair gets a blue glow, Zhang Liao's prosthetic arm gets overcharged with some lightning effect, and Lupa's tail, ears, and arms start burning as well. So this shows that before the official footage was recorded, Augusta already had full forte stacks. Her normal basic attack chain has 4 stages, which are most likely used to regenerate forte stacks. This is stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, which is absolutely crazy, and finally stage 4, where she slams her broad blade on the ground. Now, after the last slam attack, there was a bit of a delay before another attack animation began, which suggests that there was a separate button press used after the 4th basic attack. This button press that makes her vanish and simultaneously deal damage to enemies in a large AoE can either be a skill or heavy attack to send her into a special state before she can use her forte circuit, much like how Lupa needs to use a heavy attack or mid-air attacks when she has full forte stacks to be able to use her forte skill. Now, right after the skill press or heavy attack, as I previously mentioned, another skill press or most likely a heavy attack was used once again to start the Griffin attack and the ground slam animations, which are most likely part of her forte circuit for doing damage. Think of it as Zhang Liao being able to use a different type of forte circuit when not in his liberation state. Now, after casting her liberation, which will most likely do damage upon casting, she gains new attack animations, which are most likely part of her forte circuit, where she teleports continuously and does damage when she appears. These attack animations should be executed by simply spamming basic attacks just like Zani to make her gameplay much easier. She then ends it with another crazy animation which does damage in a large AoE and will likely drain my wallet in the process. That's everything regarding Augusta's gameplay breakdown, but before we get to Yuno, let's try to come up with her possible combat roles and team building options. Per the gameplay footage that we just looked at, she seems to be either a hybrid that will primarily focus on doing damage like Chang-Li, or provide some kind of buffing or sustain capabilities like Lupa or Brent to other Electro teammates such as Calculator and Zhang Liao. If she turns out to be a hybrid unit, she'll most likely be able to amplify electro damage and resonance skill damage to buff Yanlin, since Yanlin's damage is heavily focused on resonance skill damage, and then Yanlin will also be able to buff Zhang Liao with her outro skill as well. However, the Augusta, Yanlin, and Zhang Liao team comp is only viable if Augusta provides some kind of sustain capabilities like healing or shielding. But if she turns out to be a dedicated main damage dealer like Zhang Liao, Yanlin will be the more affordable option due to the 20% electro damage amplification from her outro skill if Augusta's best in slot teammate turns out to be a premium character like Yuno, but I don't really think that's the case, and I'll explain why in the Yuno section of this video. Speaking of Yanlin, there's also a strong possibility that Augusta might have a complete synergy with her outro skill where she might scale off resonance liberation damage because the electro element is centered around resonance energy, which is why Zhang Liao and Cucaracha scales off resonance liberation damage and depends heavily on their liberation to do majority of their damage. If this turns out to be true, Zhengzhen will be the suitable replacement for Yanlin due to her outro skill that amplifies resonance liberation damage, as long as you often lose your 50-50, and you can outro quickly with Zhengzhen by implementing some animation cancelling, which I'll cover in detail once it's confirmed that Augusta scales off resonance liberation damage. The second possibility in terms of team building is that Augusta might have synergy with Electro Rover in the upcoming version if she turns out to be dependent on Electro Flare status effect, which makes more sense for Kuro to give us an easily accessible character to apply them. Think of it as DPS Phoebe with Spectral Rover as a sub-DPS to apply Spectral Frazzle. Now let's take a look at Yuno. She has 3 normal basic attack stages. This is stage 1, stage 2, and finally stage 3. This animation right here is most likely her resonance skill in the normal state, and this is a special state she can enter, probably with forte stacks, much like Cantarella's Delusive Dive, which sends her in a special state as well. These animations that you can see right here might also be from spamming basic attacks to consume her forte stacks, and you can see here that there's some kind of boundary when she entered her special flying state and might act as some kind of perimeter, showing how far she can move around while she's in the special flying state. Her liberation also seems to do damage based on the animation, and that pretty much covers her official gameplay. For her combat role, I doubt she's going to be a universal buffer like Verena and Shorekeeper, since her combat animations are focused on doing damage, but we can't say the same thing for Verena and Shorekeeper, especially when it comes to their liberation animation. So a sub-DPS buffer role makes more sense to me, at least from my first impressions. Since Yuno is an arrow unit, the echoes that she synergizes with in the game right now includes Fenrico and Carousel. Carousel buffs arrow and liberation damage bonus, while Fenrico buffs arrow and heavy attack damage bonus. Since no character in the game right now can make use of these 2 echoes, it makes sense that they might be added to a new Sonata effect in the upcoming version for Yuno, similar to how the Fleur-de-Lis echo was added to the Windward Pilgrimage Sonata effect in version 2.4, but it was previously only part of the Gust of Vulcan Sonata effect. So there's a high chance that Yuno will either scale off liberation damage or heavy attack damage. In terms of team building, I doubt that Yuno will have synergy with Augusta because of the difference in attribute. Best in slot sub DPS buffers always share the same attributes with the main damage dealer that they have 100% synergy with, so if Yuno turns out to be a sub DPS buffer, she'll most likely have synergy with Jian instead, with her outro skill being able to amplify arrow and heavy attack damage, since Jian does not have a strong sub DPS buffer who's capable of doing high damage in addition to Jian's damage output. And Kuro has never released a DPS unit and their best in slot sub DPS buffer for the first time in the same patch ever since the game's release. Usually the sub DPS buffer comes before the main DPS character, much like Jeji before Carlotta, Phoebe before Zani, Yinlin before Zhang Liao, and Cantarella before Frolova. That's why Augusta, being a hybrid unit who you can pair with existing or future Electro DPS units or hybrids, makes much more sense from the game's history, since she is dropping in the same patch alongside Yuno. But if Yuno was supposed to be Augusta's best in slot sub DPS buffer, it makes sense to release Yuno before Augusta, just like they've done in the past, so you can rest easy knowing that you won't be forced to pull for 2 premium units in the upcoming patch just to have a decent team for Augusta. That'll be all for my pre-release breakdown of Augusta and Yuno. Hope this video provided value to you, and if it did, leave a like and subscribe to support the channel because it's free and you can always change your mind. Be sure to also join our Discord community if you're having any issues with the game or you just want a place to chill or hang out. The link will be in the pinned comment below. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye bye.